Are you a visual learner? Because I am. When it comes to getting better at games and I want to improve, I have to see someone else do it. It's why when I struggle inside with what aspects I should be improving on, I first turn to the pros. I find it easy to spot the differences between my gameplay and somebody else's on an entirely different level. That's precisely one of the reasons why I think I'm good at a lot of the games that I play. But what happens when I lose the comparison check and I'm no longer able to compare my gameplay to someone else's? Yeah, I'm pretty bad at video games. Oh no, no worse!
Oh no! Ah! No.
Oh god. Ooh.
Oh,
I dodged it. I dodged it. No way.
Hey, bro, I saw you took.
Oh, I dodged it again, bruh.
I didn't dodge that one, bro. I didn't know you could do it 2 times. I didn't know you could spam. I didn't know you could spam.
I absolutely love games, and each time I talk about it, it becomes more and more apparent. However, I'm not always good with them. And this fact recently came to my face once again when I decided that I'd progress Dungeon Drafters. I've already talked about how much I loved it previously, but despite all the good thoughts I have about it, I'm probably one of the worst players they have. And this is due to me not knowing how other people play the game to reference from. Many of the things that I had to learn ultimately led me to having to figure it out for myself. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm still struggling to this day. But throughout the struggle, it reminded me of something dear to me. It reminded me of the first time that I played Hollow Knight in middle school. You see, in Hollow Knight, there are countless things that the game does not tell you, but shows you. Compared to all the other games that explained every little mechanic that they had, this game left a lot of open space for me to explore. And that was it. There was no direction on where I should go. It was completely up to my own discretion to explore hollowness for myself. And it is because of this reason that I've dropped this game 3 different times in 3 different parts of my life in the same area before I beat the game once. Huh.
Did you know Insanity's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results each time? I've come to know it really well trying to figure out where I had to go from here.
Anyways, typically with these types of games, I need some kind of epiphany. The switch up in mentality is sometimes necessary for me to understand what I'm playing. And the switch up I needed was me searching up where I needed to go from where I was. Instead of just dropping the game a 4th time, I decided I would resort to outside help to get me by. And as soon as I did this, I saw the game in a new light. Overcoming this situation opened so much of hollowness to me. It honestly seemed like an entirely new game. Instead of looking at the world with complete confusion about where I should even be going, I started looking at it with a sense of wonder. Getting to know each area piece by piece, exploring unknown lands, backtracking, making each place more memorable, it was hard to not get attached to the game. And it's crazy that I was able to feel all of this just because I wanted to do better. And this epiphany of reaching for outside help allowed me to finally explore the game at my own pace and beat it less than a month later. In a way, I always felt like it was cheap to use guides to help me along the way. In reality, it allowed me to finally immerse myself into Hollow Knight's world, and once I had a grasp on what I needed to know, I no longer needed any outside help. I became self-sufficient enough to tackle everything on my own. This alone taught me that if I reference other people to get better in multiplayer games, I can do the same for single player too. But of course, this gaming playstyle is that of a struggler and doesn't apply to the other side of the spectrum, thuggers. You guys learn by failing the game, and that is legendary. I wish I can do that, but I can't because I never give myself the time to do so. I am pretty impatient when it comes to games. You guys will sit here and fight the same boss for 8 hours straight without breaking a sweat, while within my first hour of failing, I take breaks looking back at my own footage to see what I'm not getting. Being able to learn as you go is one of the most powerful abilities a gamer can actually have. I can imagine I'm a lot more patient in a multiplayer environment, but dude, I'm fighting against AI. There's so much disrespect in those losses. But I can also imagine that there are quite a few flaws that come with it, but that's not for me to figure out, that's for me to idolize. The fact that I may only be able to get good at something by watching other people can also contribute to the reason I suck at roguelikes. There's a lot of randomization to keep each run interesting, but it's also the downfall of my possible improvement. There's too much stuff to keep track of, it's hard to figure out where I'm weak at. I felt this a lot when I played Dungeon Drafters. But recently, I was able to get my epiphany, and you would not believe how I did it. I looked at the available cards that I could possibly get out of my decks, which allowed me to start focusing more on the things I knew I wanted to build. For example, the main reason that I'm capable of getting so far now is because I built up a deck that allows me to create copies of my summoning cards. This enabled me to create multiple allies on the field and let them do the brunt of the damage while keeping me mostly safe. And the only reason I found that out is because I looked at all the cards that my archetype could possibly get. Moreover, I found an NPC who sells those cards in exchange for currency. And that just made the entire game several times easier than I originally thought. And now that I have that build, I have been doing almost perfect in every run I've been going on. There was no boss I couldn't take on. That was, until this most recent boss, one of the final ones I must defeat before exploring the tower. This boss had me feel like I was playing like a thugger. To put it bluntly, this boss combos. And while he attacks, he immolates the floor into hot lava. It usually makes for a horrible situation for me because it does 2 HP of damage per tile and won't allow me to summon my ground unit. Mind you, my most effective units. Fighting this boss with my regular summoning deck didn't work out because we didn't kill him fast enough before he broke the entire ground to lava. So after recognizing the heat was gonna be a hindrance during the battle, I decided the best approach was to add a bit of flight into my deck. And I'd do this by adding a leaf sage that would heal and also give flight. So, after setting up my adjusted deck, I challenged him again, and with all the planning, all the thought processes, all the summons, I still failed. Apparently, when you fly over the lava, there's chip damage done to you, regardless of whether you're touching it or not. After not only learning this, but also the fact that my allies refused to heal me under any circumstance, it did ruin my mentality for the rest of my day. But within my ruined mentality, I had also made some pretty insightful observations. I had been running through the game essentially with just one deck and one archetype. The main thing I noticed in the battle was that this boss does not play like the others. I wasn't going to be able to get by just summoning a bunch of monsters and hoping they killed him in time. He had far too much HP for that. What I was dealing with right now was a DPS check. My monsters were barely damaging him as he has a massive health pool. If I were to take on this monster again, I would have to build a deck that would instantly pop off big damage as there's not quite much else I can do about it. And it was with this small thought that I received a taste of what being a thugger is like. And I'm gonna be honest with you, it feels strange. I learned a lot more about the game after I failed than I feel like I would have had I kept pursuing it right then and there. But now, with this newfound knowledge and eventual growth once I decide to pursue it, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to take them on fairly easily. Never mind, I still can't. There's definitely an entire learning process that comes with it, and it's definitely not the first one I resort to when I play video games. It does take me quite a bit of time to understand everything as a whole, but maybe it works that same way for someone who does learn on the go, or potentially it's even easier because they've done it for so long. Whatever the reason may be, you guys still have my respect at the end of the day. Overall, this is just my personal observation of my gameplay and experiences with the recent games I've been playing. I would love to hear if anybody works the same way as I do, if you are a fellow struggler, or if you're on the other side of the spectrum as a thugger. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. This is certainly a different approach compared to my other videos, and it's been something I've been wanting to experiment with in general. I would love to hear if you would like to hear more of anything besides general game good reviews. Anyways, it's been real. You are now leaving Psyker's world. See you on your next visit.